Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, or outside. Today we're continuing with Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, as we have been for, more than 40 videos now. Last time we left off, I don't remember what happened, because it's been a while since I recorded. Do I know exactly how long it's been? No. Does that matter? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Oh, right, she basically confessed to forging evidence. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. So, I'm hoping she's, dead sure that Joe Dark, the man that was being referred to just now, I'm hoping that she knew for sure he was the killer, otherwise, evidence was forged to get an innocent man convicted and executed. Sorry for the silence, I have tea. I am drinking tea. I didn't know. I never knew that the SO9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. I mean, it was 2 years ago? You'd think, because serial killers get a lot of news coverage, right? So why wouldn't Phoenix have heard about it? Does he just not watch the news ever? Well, I don't want a Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? That's pretty rough. Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. Ah. So that could be why Jake acts kind of almost cold towards her. Emma mentioned before that he used to be pretty friendly with her, and now he's not, so that could be a reason. Clearly what happened to his brother kind of really bothered him and shook him up a lot, to the point where he went to the lengths of stealing evidence to try to figure out what really happened to him. So that means you... Yeah, I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. She would have been 13, 14 years old if it was 2 years ago, I believe. That's pretty young. Okay, I guess we're talking. That's all not an incident. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. And suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. It just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Right, okay, so Prosecutor Marshall is Neil and Officer Marshall is Jake. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then... what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? That sounds like a problem. You should probably talk to a psychologist about that. Just a suggestion. Who's out there revving their engine for no reason? Bitch, it's raining. Go inside. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? I don't know if bogus is a technical term, but, technically still not wrong. Sorry, I keep sipping my tea. It's very good tea. The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. It's not exactly your fault that you didn't remember, like, exactly what happened. You know? That's not your fault. That would happen to a lot of people. Eyewitness testimonies are actually very unreliable. So it's true. Even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. Well, more like presenting falsified evidence. He didn't know it was falsified. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. Permanent picture. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Good thing we have a nice black and white CG art to reference from. Am I gonna have to point out the issue with this photo? Take this image straight from Emma's mind and project it onto the... I don't know where I'm going with that bit. Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. Yeah, that sounds like a traumatic event. Sounds like something you'd need to talk to a doctor about. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms, and still wearing that same outfit, apparently. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. Yeah, now that you mention it, Emma's had it hard. This poor kid. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Well, do tell, because I'm clearly not on the same page. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. Who else? Literally who else, Phoenix? The fucking butchery down the street? The grocery store? The hair salon? Who else would take someone in for questioning other than the cops? This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. I would say it's surprising he was able to, like, get out of the interview room at all, because wouldn't he... You'd think they would have a suspected serial killer handcuffed during an interview, first of all, and probably also multiple officers in the room. You'd think it would have been a bit more difficult for him to run out of the interview, is what I'm saying. Why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly! Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I'd better have another talk with her. Alright, okay. So, to the detention center now, I believe. Please go away. Sorry, I'm talking about the guide. Because once again, I am using a guide. Today's recording session is kind of a miracle because I have finally eaten breakfast before recording, which almost never happens. In fact, I think I often mention, like, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten anything yet, but that's not the case today. I had a bagel. So I Hopefully you won't be getting hungry 30 minutes into the session. Well, Lana? Mr. Wright? It seems I keep causing you trouble. Yeah. Yeah, you kinda do. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? I think that's the point. Is that you're supposed to be better than the criminals? Unless I'm missing something here, I don't know. But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right? No, I'm right. There is a certain... There's a certain bastardly little feline trying to scratch his way through the door to this room right now. He's done that before. It's my cat. My cat is trying to get into the room, but I think probably because he hears me talking. He likes going where he hears people talking, but he's not coming in. Sorry, buddy, you're staying out there. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Right. I do. Hang on, let me drink my tea. God, it's already getting cold. Usually stays hot longer than that. Okay, so I think I just talked to Lana. Yeah. Hang on, let me see. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, this investigation section is very long. So, you know, I've got a lot to get through. Today's trial. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. His brother died. I just want you to really think about that for a moment. His brother died. I can't even imagine. Like, I have a sister. I can't even imagine the pain that it would cause me if she died. Like, Jake's brother was killed in that case. Alright, Lana, maybe it is a little obsessive, but, like, I get it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I get it. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. To the devil? Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why don't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. But we do know there was something that happened at the police department. Because there's, like, an unusual amount of blood there for a crime to have not taken place. And may I also remind the jury, that doesn't exist in this world because this game is based off Japan's legal system and they do not have juries. May I remind the jury that Goodman actually just died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. That's a fairly large window of time. You know, it's a pretty large window of time for him to have died. So while we do have a witness saying, albeit an untrustworthy one who lied on the fucking witness stand despite having been a detective before and knowing that that is no good, we do have a witness saying she stabbed Goodman at 5:15. How do we know he died at 5:15? You know, because where's the ID card records? Where's the ID card records? Because we have... Oh, right, never mind. I completely forget the point I was trying to make. I was gonna say, because Goodman went in, but that was when Jake stole his. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway. It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? I don't like his attitude. He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could use that experience in court, right? That would be handy. Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. Maybe you should. The Dark investigation. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes. Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Was Neil older or younger than Jake? Just out of curiosity. So, Jake is 33. And it doesn't say how old Neil was. Maybe it says it in the evidence, like in the SL9 files. Check. No, it does not say how old Neil was. Alright, never mind. I was just curious. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. Wait. So Joe Dark was actually his name? I assumed that they were, like, using an alias or something. Joe Dark was his actual name? Talk about nominative determinism. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. I probably already said that line, but I have horrible short-term memory, so I wouldn't know. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma, and actually ended up murdering Neil. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. First one at the scene. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. Sorry, I had to burp. So we waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. So there were at least 2 officers. Well, I think Gant was a detective and Marshall was a prosecutor. But there were 2 people in that room with a suspected, almost confirmed serial killer. And they let down their guards? That's a bit odd. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. Okay, I was gonna say, because wasn't it mentioned before that he was executed? Like, he got the death penalty? And she was, like, talking about him like he was a body who had died. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her, after all her sister must have gone through. I mean, when you really think about it, from what Emma said earlier, okay, so Here's the issue I'm having. Gant and Marshall were, if I had like a fucking map I could point to, this would make this easier. Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark, right? They were interviewing him because they like brought him in for questioning or whatever. And Emma, at the same time, was in Lana and Gant's office. Lana was filing papers, I think she said, somewhere else, so she was in neither room. Dark, in the middle of the interview, gets up and runs out of the room where he was being questioned, and he goes to the office where Emma is. He confronts Emma, tries to take her hostage, but Neil arrives, because Neil was chasing Dark. And Dark kills Neil, Emma passes out, Dark gets knocked unconscious. And Lana says she was the first to arrive at the scene. That's weird, because Neil was not the only person questioning Dark. Gant also was, so why was Gant not the first person to find the scene? Because Emma said that the office and the room where Dark was being questioned were like just across the elevator. They were not that far from each other. So, and Marshall was chasing Dark. Marshall could see where Dark was going. So did Gant not chase Dark? Did he not follow Marshall? Obviously, I've said I've played this game before, so I know what the answer is, but that is a point that is a question that can be raised at this point, is why was Gant not the first person at the scene? You know? Why was it Lana, who was not in either room at the time? You know? Just think about that. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SO9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident just by chance. Well, you weren't involved. You're like the only person who wasn't involved, Phoenix. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. That's true. Jake Marshall did. Officer Marshall? Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. But you said earlier that you expected that. So, what is it? It's not adding up. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. I mean, the case itself is, clearly, but there's something fishy going on here. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Alright, I'm gonna leave this video here after drinking some tea. I feel like that's a good point to leave this one. So, next time we'll continue our long investigation, and we'll see where it leads us, because we're starting to close in on the answers now. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.